When the Raleigh Bicycle Company decided to discontinue the manufacture of their three-wheeled vehicles in 1934, their works manager, Mr. T. L. Williams, and colleague, Mr. E. S. Thompson, felt the days of a lightweight three-wheeler were far from over. The entrepreneurian pair decided to build their own vehicle in Mr. Williams's back garden at Kettlebrook, Tamworth. This was the Raleigh Safety 7 that was built by Raleigh. One of Tom Williams's 1934 self-built prototypes, this is believed to be the second, as the first closely resembled the Raleigh LDV van and had handlebars for a steering wheel. And was powered by a Jap engine. In a bid to improve power, in 1936 Reliant had this 10 CWT van fitted with an 18 horsepower 747 Jap V twin engine. A close-up of the V twin engine. The 1938 8CWT van was powered by the 7 horsepower Austin 7 engine until Reliant developed its own version of the engine in September 1939. The exterior of the Reliant factory, Two Gates, Tamworth, with their first mass-produced van. The Regent Reliant 10 CWT van production line, recorded in 1950. At this time, around 40 vehicles were manufactured each week. A 1949 Reliant 8 CWT van. This particular vehicle is still used for the purpose it was designed for, serving as a daily workhorse, a belt now based in the Black Country Living Museum in Dudley. With its large body, the Regent 10 CWT of the 1950s was much bigger vehicle than its predecessor. Note also the replacement of earlier spoked wheels with pressed steel wheels in the quest for further modernisation. The bodywork of the girder fork Reliant vans consisted of an internal ash frame covered in aluminium panels. Here 2 employees are constructing the doors for a Regent. An early artist impression of the Reliant Regal Reliant's new four-seater passenger vehicle, as was usual in the time, artistic licenses had been applied to many visual dimensions, the actual production vehicle being very much narrower than depicted. The Reliant Engineering Company stand at the November 1952 Earls Court, London motorcycle show, with much modified production versions of the Reliant Regal in a suitably promoted position. Meanwhile, a Reliant Regent 10 CWT van keeps a watchful eye on its proceedings. The beauty with the Reliant vehicles, all the three-wheeler vehicles they ever made, was that they could be driven on a full motorbike licence. In the endless quest for weight saving, the early Reliant Regal had a cast magnesium radiator grille. This item was probably prohibitively expensive to manufacture, and so was dropped from the vehicle's successors. For the motorcyclist, the interior of the Regal offered unimagined levels of comfort for family motoring compared with motorcycle and sidecar. The 1952 Princess Regent 6 CWT van, with unladen weight of 952 pounds, was too heavy to be classed as a tricycle for UK licensing laws, therefore believed to have been an export model. The sheer loading capacity of the Reliant 10 CWT, combined with its low running costs, made it a favourite with many businesses, both large and small. Shown here in this 1950 view is one of the first mobile windscreens fitting services ever offered in the UK. S. Smith's Windscreens later became a member of the National Windscreens Group. A row of the Mark I Reliant Regal. Note the trade plates on the second model back. Obviously a garage was taking someone out on a test drive this day. An advertisement for the Regal. 50 miles to the gallon, 65 miles per hour. Road tax £5 per annum. Price X Works £362.90. This particular 1953 Regal was presented to the National Motor Museum at Bewley in September 1973 after being purchased by the Rally Safety 7, an early Reliant Owners Club, and restored by the Reliant Company. The production of the Reliant Regal Mark I. A van version was offered also. The usage of this Regent 10 CWT model knew no bounds and served as a base for everything mobile shops to use factory fire engine. As shown, this example used by the Ronaldo Limited of London. November 1955, and the drawing of a new era for the Reliant three-wheeler as a glass-reinforced plastics or fiberglass makes its first appearance. It is here being used in the car bonnet, rear wings and hardtop roof. The rather bulbous shape of the roof was a result of the 6-foot tall Tom Williams sitting in an experimental car and demanding more headroom. The 1956 Earls Court London Motor Show and, of course, the new hardtop Regal takes centre stage. Meanwhile, the original coupe or soft-top version continued in production, whilst the background lurks of the Mark II Regal based 5CWT van. 1957 Regal Mark III, the first all-fiberglass Reliant, was arguably the most attractive Reliant three-wheeler ever made. A happy Reliance dealer of the day, with trade plates taking a customer out for a spin. Even the most desirable company of car manufacturing in the UK used the Reliant Regal 3 van. Rolls-Royce. A Reliant Regal Mark V with a hardtop is pictured opposite the Reliant offices at Two Gates, Tamworth, being modelled in a company former Reliant employee, Winifred Mortimer, 1958. The Reliant Regal Mark IV. The Regal Mark V Saloon. In full fiberglass. Another view of the Mark V production line featured vans to the left and saloons to the right on the tracks at Two Gates Tamworth Factory Reliant Motor Company. In 1965, the Regal 325 with its distinctive large slatted radiator grille. In September 65, the Regal 325 saloon became the Regal 325 standard when the new redesigned Regal 325 Super Saloon was introduced. My first car was a Super Saloon. (1965) The Regal 325 being built at the plant 2 Gates Tamworth factory, Reliant. In 1962, the 598 overhead valve power plant production by Reliant for the new Regal 325 range was Britain's first volume production all aluminium engine. The engine in production at the Reliant factory. On their sides, the moulds to build the bodies for the 325 Regal, all made out of glass fibre. The first car Adam Reynolds ever bought. Introduced in 1965, the Regal 325 Super Saloon had a new streamlined front end designed by Ogle. The Regal van, used at Heathrow Airport, London. The Regal 325 pickup. The exterior of the Reliant factory. A lineup of the Regal pickups. Based on Regal running gear came the most attractive, I think, of the Reliants, the Reliant Ant pickup. A 1968 top-of-the-range Regal 21E saloon. Note the spotlights, bumper overriders and chrome filler strip to the windscreen. Just some of the 21 extras this model contained over its base model brothers. The Reliant Ant in production. A lot of these were sent abroad, exported. Showing the 50,000th Reliant ever built. A Regal 21 saloon. Many Reliants have been exported over the years. Here's one that went to the Netherlands. A Regal. Used in the long-running TV show of the BBC, Only Fools and Horses, running from 1980s to 1990s, was used the Reliant Regal Supervan 3. the rear view of the Supervan 3 Regal. The Reliant Motor Company had bought Bond cars and had swallowed up many other three-wheel production cars. This was the 1968 prototype Reliant Rouge before it was further developed into the Bombug following the takeover by Reliant Cars of Bond Cars Limited in February 1969. After many years of development, Tom Karen's futuristic design finally went on sale in June 1970 following press launches at Woodburn Abbey and Brands Hatch Racetrack. Although this production car carried the long-established Bond name, the Bug was Reliant's product through and through. This is the most prettiest car Reliant have ever built, even though under the Bond name, and was Adam Reynolds' second car. He'd always had a passion for them. Three-wheeled vehicles were barred from the 1970s Earl's Court Motor Show, leading Reliant to create the famous Double Bug. By joining two Bond Bugs together back to back, it had four wheels and it succeeded in stealing the show. The Reliant men manning the stand would tell the crowd that they could actually buy the Double Bug, but they would sell them half of it. Whilst the official colour option for the Bond Bug throughout its production life was the distinctive bright tangerine orange, Reliant did make early experiments with a vivid lime green. By the midsummer of 1972, the export earnings of TW9, or the Reliant Ant, was being offered on an open sale through British Reliant dealers for the first time. In the UK market, two of the more common applications found for the TW9, or the Reliant Ant, were as road sweepers or milk delivery vehicles. The relatively small size and comparatively high payload, coupled with its good turning circles, made it ideal for such uses. Shown here is a 1975 Aussie truck milk float built by R.W. Osborne's and Sons Limited, Saffron Walden. A view of the luxury black interior fitted to all versions of the Regal 330 and Supervans from 1971. The aim was to give the vehicle the scimitar, which was the four-wheeled Reliant look, as found in the company's scimitar sports car. A 1967 film on Reliant export shows the hand of Ray Wiggin with the model of the next generation of Reliant three-wheelers. The similarities between the models and what would become the Reliant Robin are instantly recognisable. With the end of the era of finally the Regal ending and coming to an end, the most sales popular Reliant car, the Robin Mark I. The extended new Reliant factory. Note the robins outside and the scimitar. The new track systems at the Reliant factory, where a robin was produced at every 6.5 minutes. The glass fibre shell body is now made for the robin. Coming out the mould. The mould, the new body that's been made from the mould. The Robin was no exception. All cars have to be tested for safety before they go on sale. And the Robin passes with flying colours. The interior for the Robin. The famous Robin sales brochure, front cover. Being filmed by film crew, the new Robin Mark I gets used in a TV sales advertisement. The Robin got offered as a van too, as well as the saloon. A half cutaway showing the Robin with its running gear and so on. An advertising piece. Despite gaining the Robin 748cc engine in October 73 to create the new 700E and 700ES models, demand for the Bug starting to fade, and in May 1974 the decision was taken to halt production in order to free valuable capacity on the production line of the Robin. And so they did. Adam Reynolds' third car was a Robin Mark I saloon, and exactly the same colour and looks as this Robin seen here. Then came the overhead valve 850 all alloy engine and gearbox with a carburettor, produced by Reliant and would be used in the very last models from the first models, having a total of a 30-year reign. With the 850 engine, motorway cruising was not a problem. 70 miles an hour was easily attainable and cruising at. The car would do up to 90. As the working class man was better off now than ever before in the 70s, having been able to drive a motorcycle, you could now do your test on a motorcycle and drive a Reliant car. Why not go out and buy yourself a Reliant or book in for a driving lesson to do a motorbike test in a Reliant? Production at its height with the Reliant Motor Company in the 70s, building the Robin Mark 1. The Reliant Ant, used as a refuge trolley truck. A year after the very successful Jubilee, special edition cars, Reliant again took the advantage of such marketing plays with the 1978 GBS Great Britain Special. Steve Short, who worked for Key Motors, also owned one of these before going on to take his full car test. Then the Reliant discontinued the Robin and started producing the Rialto. This would lead to the company going bust for the first time. The Rialto would boast the 850 engine, fully aluminium, a dip galvanised chassis, fiberglass body, the Rialto. The 848cc HTE engine fitted to the Rialto 2 and identified by its yellow rocker cover. With increasing engine torque, the engine offered almost 74 miles per gallon at a consistent speed of 56 miles per hour, and also provided the car with a slight increased top speed. Pasting on the matting and fiberglass resin into a Rialto mould on its side to produce the body of the car. The Rialto 2, the saloon and estate. The Rialto van also launched. With its typical 80s styling. The limited edition Rialto with widened arches. The 1990s saw the new Reliant Robin launched. And yet again, the Reliant Motor Company goes bust. For the second time. The new Robin in production in the factory. Jonathan Haynes, a businessman, in the centre, and his wife Samantha, seen with the Reliant workforce in 1997. At this time, 2 Robin vans had been sold to the US Embassy in London, and a special dark Bentley green van with wood veneer interior had also been made for Princess Anne. This was personally delivered by Jonathan Haynes, who took over and bought the Reliant Motor Company. Jonathan Haynes gave me my first guided tour, Adam Reynolds, of the Reliant Two Gates plant in 1996, late 96 to early 97, along with Mick Hilton, a Reliant member of staff. The Sprint, an attempt in 1995 by the Anvex Group, who owned Reliant, to revamp the Bonnebug for the 1990s, with Tom Caron being brought back to work on his original design. Unmistakably a bug, and significantly far enough advanced to have official launch date set for April the 2nd, 1996. The Sprint project became just one of the casualties when the company crashed once more into receivership in 1995. Always keen to bring out a limited edition model at a higher price, the Diamond Robin was introduced. Although the Robin was back in production with a new model, the Model 2, this Rialto pickup was still used for the commercial range. And finally came the Robin pickup range, Mark II. Available with a flat back and coach-built side-dropping tippers. Production halted as Jonathan Haynes takes over Reliant. The Robin pickup with tipper sides. Another limited edition Reliant Robin new shape Mark II of the Racing Green limited edition with aluminium wheels. The new shape Mark II Robin van was also introduced, using Ford Fiesta headlights from the Mark II Fiesta. The concept for the Robin Mark III using Vauxhall Corsa teardrop headlights. The actual design was signed off production in January 1998 by Jonathan Haynes. One of the proposed concepts for the Robin Mark III featured a nose with BMW ZKW front lights and Land Rover indicators by Jonathan Haynes. After 65 years of production and after once spreading across both sides of the A5, the latter years saw the Reliant shrink drastically, with its production being contained in just a few buildings on the north side of the A5 at Tamworth. This view from 1998 was one that had been greatly mained Tamworthians day in and day out. The final remains of the Two Gates plant are now demolished, with the old company logo, a proud survivor of the late 60s, still adoring the building to a very end. A year later and this area would be swallowed up by housing estates, aptly named Scimitar Park. After Jonathan Haynes had Reliant Motor Company and owned it, it then went bust again, now being bought out by Plastics. BNP Plastics made the new, designed by Jonathan Haynes, Reliant, only lasting a few years before they in turn went bust and stopped producing this car, but now trade under importing foreign cars. The last Reliant ever made, the Mark III Robin. This particular model's a van. The BN1 Reliant Robin was made, and very few BN2s. The interior of the new Mark III Robin BN1 and BN2. Believed to be the very last car produced by BN Plastics, the Reliant Robin BN2. Which brings this part of the ADR Films Reliant photograph history to a very sad end. I, Adam Reynolds, worked for Key Motors, the Reliant dealers in Exeter, Devon, UK, and enjoyed many a trip to both factories where the Reliant car was produced in the 1990s. Thank you for watching.